Wow, that was a glowing endorsement. Thank you very much, Paul. Who doesn't love gold at the moment, eh? So I will hopefully get this up and running, run you through a bit of a story. You can all see that. That is what we're doing at the moment, drilling holes right in front of an existing open pit that at the time we shut it down wasn't making money. At these gold prices, who knows? But what we wanted to do was focus on the high-grade discovery we'd made just in front of that pit, literally where that haul road is, where there's a vehicle in the background there. Might be a little bit blurry there, but you can see a vehicle coming around the corner just in front of the process plant. So we're literally right in front of a 2.5 million tonne process plant that was only shut down in November 22. So 6-year-old plant now, and it's just sitting there on care and maintenance. We're keeping it in really good condition. Costs us a little bit to keep it in that condition, but when you can see some of the capex numbers coming out of some of our peers in terms of building a new plant, I think some people will be pretty happy we're keeping it in good working order. 5 rigs on site at the moment. We posted 952,000 ounces at 5.7 grams a tonne, including about 100,000 ounces in open pit right in front of that process plant. That's just the Never Never deposit. So I'll walk you through that discovery and a bit about our company. Corporate structure, every time I put this together, I'm wrong. I have to say I'm glad to be wrong today. We touched 68 cents, so I'm out by a couple of cents there. Pretty good market cap for an exploration company with infrastructure. We are a bit of a hybrid investment proposition because we already have a process plant in place, but we're in exploration mode at this point in time. Strong board, strong shareholding, 47% of our register is held by institutions, so very solid, long gold holders. That's our share price since we did a small cap raise last year in November. Gone up 62%, a little bit more today. My graph's again a little bit out of date, the right way. But against the gold index and against the rest of our peers who are all gold producers, you can see the value of the drill bit and what it can deliver in terms of return on investment for shareholders. Mineral resources, pretty standard sort of table here. The numbers I'd draw your attention to, given that we have a 2.5 million tonne plant, being able to say we've got 21 million tonnes at 2.5 grams a tonne, which is more than double the grade of what was being mined before, and predominantly because we've added high grade to it, it's a pretty substantial number. So people have asked us questions, can you fill that mill? When you look at that number of tonnes at that grade, convert 80% of it to reserve, maybe, it starts to look like a really good mine life. But I'll draw your attention to the table down the bottom right-hand side there. That is the current resource for Never Never, but we certainly have only just begun on that particular journey. We are situated in the Murchison region, in between Westgold, Silver Lake and Ramilius, 3 of the biggest or mid-caps you've got in the space, all producing at this point in time. And all, I'd have to say, suffering a little bit through the inflationary cost pressures of operating gold mines. We took ourselves off that mouse wheel by design, and as Paul said, we actually recapped at 10 cents, and to be at 68 today is a tribute to that work we've done since that point. That green ellipse, that's our process plant. That green ellipse is how close Never Never is. It's almost too close, luckily not too close. About 100,000 ounces sitting in that pit right there, and then you've got an incredibly high-grade underground system that sits just beneath it. What we've found though, and I'll walk you through a bit of that, is that there's a lot more potential in that formerly uneconomic gold pit than what was previously thought. This might take a little while to load. I get to pull my crayons out. Geos love crayons and drawing pencils. So this is our tenure. You can see we've got a huge amount of ground here. Everybody loves to talk about the coverage they have. We have no risk of this ore body or this system going off our tenure at this stage. Our granted mining leases are in this area here, so they cover that entire area. All those tailings dams, all that infrastructure is covered by that mining lease, and we're focused on that mining lease. I'm just a mining geologist. This has been an exploration turnaround story, but we literally drilled in front of the existing pit and found more ore. This is a cross-section that we just put out recently. I do cop a bit of grief for using various items as scale bars. That is an Airbus A380 to scale sitting on the surface, the largest commercial passenger aircraft in the world. If you've ever been on one, they are huge and our ore body is bigger. The Burj Khalifa on the left-hand side there, that is to scale. That is the tallest building in the world, and this ore body is going beyond that. Our most recent drill hits we put out, some pretty incredible grades at the bottom there, 830 metres below surface, about 1,000 metres down plunge, 11.5 metres at 37 grams a tonne. That is a substantial width at really good grade. Speaking of these drill hits, I'm pretty proud of putting this up. Some people say it's a little bit wordy, but when you look at some of these drill hits, companies are happy to have one or two of these. We deliver these on a fairly regular basis and across this ore body. We're not just focused on one particular high-grade area. This has, and I put the depths in there for that purpose. You can see this is distributed throughout this ore body. Some of those hits I would have been proud to have one or two of. So, that's just our top 20. This system, that's long section there, so you can see the Never Never deposit, 1,000 ounces per vertical metre, back when the gold price was around $1,000 US, was considered a really good number. We're now looking at 3,500 Aussie, 2,300 US, and you're looking at a system that's averaging over 2,000 ounces per vertical metre. That's the exploration target we just put out, and to put it in really simple terms, and I am just, a mine geologist, we just took what we'd seen, we made increments in 100-metre intervals, and then we just projected it down plunge. That's exactly how we did our last exploration target, and we absolutely nailed that. We've put out to the market that we want to achieve 1.6 to 1.9 million ounces at Never Never, and that's just the one deposit that's sitting in front of that plant. There's plenty more potential outside that, but we are well on our track, well on our way to do that. That 11.5 metres at 37 grams a tonne is sitting around that 800 metres below surface, so it's already proving that exploration target up. As I mentioned, this isn't just the only high-grade system in this area. I was told this was a low-grade greenstone belt. As a geologist, I struggle with that concept because I've always seen low-grade and high-grade in greenstone belts, and it was a challenge that I wanted to take on, and I spoke to the geos on site and said, look, we've managed to find one of these high-grade systems. Where have you seen this before? And the guys that used to work in the pit, in fact, it was one of my best female senior geologists, she said, look, we saw this in the north end of the pit everywhere, and there's a slip sitting on top of it, so we never really mined it. But I've seen this material. The same high silica, heavy alteration, sericite biotite alteration that indicates the gold at Never Never is present in that pit. Then we went back through the reconciliation records of mining and found that there were two areas that had been reconciling 30% above block model grade. And when you look at the combination of that high silica, high alteration style with gold in it and 30% above reconciliation, we thought we should probably follow this up. When we looked back at that database, we could actually see those drill holes that were proving that. So we had three elements that were pointing in the right direction. So we just drilled some more holes. And what we found was the same style at depth under that pit. So there were at least two of these high-grade structures within the Gilbey's pit. It was being mined north-south, which was incorporating waste between the two high-grade systems, which is why the grade was so low. What we've found out is that there are these high-grade chute systems that sit within this north-south trending stratigraphy, and now we're focused on that. And we're really starting to bring some good drill hits to light. 20 metres at 3.5 grams a tonne is nothing to be sneezed at, especially when you consider we will mine Never Never. We will get down into that ore body, and then it's not a big stretch to get back across underneath that pit and mine those bulk stopes as well. Just building this suspense. This is our block model. I apologise if this gives anybody vertigo. Never Never sits just over here. This is 4 pillars. This is west winds. We are drilling a deep hole right now down into this area here, which is actually off the end of the resource model, and it's almost 400 metres below the resource. So that's a big risk that we're taking, but we are very confident that we're going to be able to deliver a result that will actually show at the bottom of the exploration target that we're hitting the same kind of material. We're also drilling, and I'm pretty excited about this, so I apologise. We're drilling in this area here, which might seem obvious, but when you're chasing a really high-grade system and getting the hits we were getting, We almost forgot that there could possibly be some in between the old pit and this new discovery. So we're drilling in that area. So keep an eye out for those results coming out. Obviously, if they're good, I'll be shouting it from the rooftop. If they're not that good, I'll be trying to tuck them away somewhere. But look, to be able to rotate this around and just show people what we're dealing with here. This is the Gilbey's pit in the centre. That is a conceptual, never open pit only. That doesn't exist at the moment. This is an unmined ore body. Your process plant's sitting right there. The Gilbey's pit sits there. That's the stratigraphic sequence. So you're running basically north-south. But then the fold goes around. The stratigraphy ends up going that way. And on that fold is a deposit called Sly Fox. We're also focusing on that because that, prior to the discovery of Never Never, was the highest grade system in this whole project. So this is Sly Fox here. Thought of as a narrow vein, high grade shoot, which sounds very similar to Never Never. Again, when we went back and looked at the logging, exactly the same material as Never Never. Then we drilled a couple of holes just to test if this was actually a narrow vein shoot. Turns out it's not a narrow vein shoot, it's quite wide. And the two holes that we're sort of waiting on at the moment, and we have been very hard on our QA/QC on this process here, so there has been a delay in those assays, but understand they will come out very shortly. You know, I'd like to say we've expanded this system as well, and that just adds to the potential mine life in front of that plant. Granted mining lease, green outline, probably a little bit hard to see, but what I'm trying to do here is just illustrate, we're not just drilling, we're doing geophysical survey as well. So we just did a gravity survey, which backs up the magnetic survey we did last year. We're seeing some really strong coincident signatures in there, which we're going to be testing with an air core rig and an RC rig going forward, mainly through this area here. This is another gold deposit. Funnily enough, you draw a straight line between what we've just found and what was previously being mined and what is now a tailings facility, but actually was a gold mine. There is a lot of structure in there that looks very similar. So we will be executing a number of different, I suppose, multi-pronged strategies in terms of exploration to make sure that we keep delivering into that mine life in front of that plant. 28,500 metre drill campaign. In terms of news flow, catalysts for coming into our stock and selling, because that's what shares are for, buying and selling, we are producing some of the best news flow on the ASX in the gold space at the moment. Obviously the gold price really helps us, but we have a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of stuff coming out. New exploration target, obviously that sets the bar. This is where we want to get to. Mineral resource estimate update coming middle of the year. I want to split out the Gilbey's complex, which was always seen as a bit of a hodgepodge of lower grade ounces, and actually bring some of those high grade shoots and make them independent resource areas so that we can start to really focus on the high grade in front of that plant. And what we're about is drilling, growing, and what that drilling does is de-risk any scenario that we can come up with to turn that plant back on. Why invest in Spartan? I could stand up here and talk about the potential as the basis for why you should invest. You know, we have high grade, we have the infrastructure. It's in close proximity. You know, the high grade's 600 metres away from the plant. That's where Never Never is situated. It is an incredibly, we're in a very blessed position. As geologists, we're pretty excited. Brought on a COO, building our engineering team. That's going to wrap the feasibility work around this deposit and the others that we've got sitting there, and come up with a number of different scenarios we're going to be proud to bring to the market. Are we a target to be taken out? Everyone asks me this. We focus on what we can control. What we can control is where we drill the holes and how many ounces we can put on the table. That's what we're going to keep doing. We're going to cut a path to production. We're going to walk everybody down that path, shareholders in tow. And if someone wants to come along at any stage during that journey, that's fine. But we focus on what we can control. Everyone says they're undervalued. I think it, look, I can still say it. I still think there's a lot of value left in what we're doing at the moment. You turn that plant back on and it makes a lot of gold bars. Thank you very much.